Welcome to the Let's Talk Growth podcast, where we focus on the topics that can help companies unlock their growth potential. Now here's your host, Bill Hupp.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Growth podcast. I'm your host, Bill Hupp, and I'm joined as always by the founder and president of MarketWise Advising, Mike Haldane. Mike, it's been a minute. How was your summer?
It's been great so far, Bill. Thanks for asking.
We're excited to have one of our former interns at Global Traffic Technologies on the podcast today. Her name is Katelyn Nelson. She is a PhD candidate and a grad assistant for the Big EO Center at Auburn University. She's also done some teaching. She's held roles in marketing, and I can only speak for myself, but probably the best intern that I've ever worked with. She was fantastic at GTT. Katelyn, it's good to see you again and wonderful to have you on the podcast.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
To start, can you tell us a bit about your background and what sparked your interest in marketing and higher education?
Absolutely. Well, so I'm originally from Minnesota and going to the University of North Dakota. I thought I wanted to be a dentist, and I quickly learned I don't like science. That is not for me. And so I did a little bit of soul searching, and I realized I love being creative. I love talking to people. And so the business school and marketing in particular seemed like a great landing place for me. So I started looking into different marketing opportunities. I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I thought I wanted to do sales, and I realized that no, I really do love the content side of it. I love getting to create different marketing materials that people can interact with. And so I had a lot of fun doing that. Going into my schooling at the University of North Dakota, I had a little bit of experience working with power sports. And so I had accepted a full-time role doing that until that crazy COVID pandemic hit. And so when that happened, I went to Auburn University in Alabama to pursue my master's in business. And while there, I got to get plugged in with Global Traffic Technologies, which just really helped me to understand more about my love for marketing, and that I really love teaching marketing and interacting with marketing on all aspects. And so following my internship with GTT, I ended up pursuing a PhD in higher education administration so I can continue to teach marketing. I also help out a variety of local businesses here in Auburn, Alabama with their marketing campaigns, and I work as a marketing consultant for them. And I get to teach a variety of marketing classes, both at the University of North Dakota and St. Cloud Technical and Community College. And my excitement for marketing has pursued with my doctoral studies, which are in artificial intelligence. And so I get to bring in all types of AI into my teaching. And so my students and I have a lot of fun incorporating different AI technologies into marketing.
Can you walk us through your early career experiences? You kind of touched on it before, but your roles at Textron, Specialized Vehicles, and the University of North Dakota. How did those positions, those experiences help shape your career path?
When I started at Textron, Specialized Vehicles in their Arctic Cat branch, I was actually in a sales development program internship position because I figured if I love talking, I would probably be great at sales. And my time there really helped me to learn that I really do just love marketing. And so I talked with my internship advisor, which helped me to really reposition my internship. So I was so thankful into a marketing internship. And so I was there, I had the opportunity to do the marketing for a local county fair. And so that's just what helped me to learn a lot more about my passions for marketing. And really that marketing isn't always just a flyer. You know, there's so much more behind marketing than what people realize. And I've also now learned as I've gone on my passion for marketing research, it's so fun to really understand your consumers and think of that back end of marketing and how much goes into it before your consumers are seeing an ad on TV or on any digital space. So my time at Textron just really helped me with that. And then at the University of North Dakota, I was really plugged in with my marketing department, and I had some really awesome mentors while I was there. Dr. Sandy Luck, who's the owner of Bully Brew Coffee, who has now expanded across to the Midwest, did a really great job at fostering my love for marketing and helping me plug in. And she was actually the one who told me of the importance of internships. And I'm so thankful that she told me that. And that's advice that I now try to give every student that I come into contact with. And she helped me to learn where my skills are. And then Dr. Jen Stoner also helped me to just understand the different types of marketing and the different career paths that marketing has for you.
You've held multiple graduate assistant positions at Auburn University. How have these roles contributed to your professional development and career readiness?
Every grad assistant position or GA has helped me to network. And this is one of the biggest things that I have learned throughout my career so far. My career is still so young, but even being on this podcast here would not have been possible without networking. And so my various GAs from working in the College of Business at Auburn, in which I networked with alumni, and then I worked in the Assessment and Strategic Planning office. So I was talking with everyone involved in student affairs, just talking about, figuring out what I really love to do. And then now I'm working in the Bigio Center for Teaching and Learning. And so that just helps me to really figure out my strengths and my weaknesses. And back to thinking about internships, that's really what all of these positions are about, is just providing a place as a young professional to learn about what I'm good at and what I need to improve at so that I can be successful in my long-term career.
You touched on the fact that you're teaching marketing at both the University of North Dakota and St. Cloud Tech. What motivated you to pursue teaching, and how has this experience influenced your career?
I absolutely love education. One of my favorite things is when I'm teaching my students and they have the light bulb moment, or when they're talking about one of those, even just like a theory, and all of a sudden they get excited about it because they can apply it to a real world application. So one thing in particular I can think of is even just last week when I was teaching my digital marketing course. We went through some just really basic definitions of digital marketing. We're just at the beginning of the semester. And then we took some time to look up some different AI resources and tools. So we looked at like an image generator, a video generator. In the future, I'm going to have them experiment with audio generators. And we took time to get to pick whatever company they were most interested in. And they got to generate a brand new digital marketing campaign for them just in the 10 minutes in class. And when they shared it with the class, there were students who, when they first started out talking about what they did, it was very just mundane. This is what we did, we generated it. And then by the end of their explanation, they were like, and this is why our campaign that we generated is the best one of all the groups that have gone so far. And it was just so fun to be able to be a part of this next generation, because these are going to be the people that are doing the marketing for us in 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And getting to be a part of that learning process is just so much fun.
Katelyn, I remember a few years ago when you came to GTT for the internship that you mentioned. I remember thinking she brings a great set of skills, even, relatively early in her career. And now, fast forward 3 years later, and you're even more, equipped to take on some of the challenges that I'm sure you face on a daily basis. But can you share some of the key skills that you've learned over the course of the last several years, and which you think have been truly instrumental in enabling the career that you've had thus far?
Absolutely. I think the number one for me is communication. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I think that with the digital age, sometimes communication can be easier, but sometimes it can also be more difficult. And so we have to be, as communicators and as employees, we have to be able to communicate both in the digital space and in person. And so learning how to communicate and learning something as rudimentary as how to shake someone's hand and look them in the eyes when you're introducing yourself to them. So I think that's a really important one that was instilled in me, starting with my parents at a young age and going through all of my education. My writing skills are also a really big skill that I think are so important. With our world of AI, and as we have a lot of these tools that can generate text, papers, things like that for us, I think that having those writing skills is even more important because AI can generate a robot sounding or a more mundane without that personal aspect in the writing. And so strong and creative writers like what are developed in marketers are going to be able to go above and beyond and add in that personal aspect. And so I think that writing skills are just going to become even more important to be able to set apart our marketers and our future employees from the base level so that they can just continue to succeed. And then finally, I think another skill is just thinking outside of the box. You are going to be faced with challenges every single day. And so you just have to be willing to try and figure it out on your own. Now that I'm teaching, I see the side of getting emails before students have had a chance to really think outside the box. And even if what you're originally think of isn't necessarily correct, you're still gaining skills on how to think and how to learn, even if it's not right. And so just learning to take that step and really just stepping outside of your comfort zone will help you to be so successful in the future.
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. I remember early in my career that I signed up for projects that were outside of my comfort zone, and I did it on a regular basis, but I did it with the knowledge that I could, I could take it on, I could figure it out. The people that would need to support me would be there when I needed them. And, you're sort of highlighting the need for critical thought and, and maybe the ability or the willingness to, take those big steps. But I think that is the key to everything. I think the ability to think through things with logic and then to be able to apply that to problems that need to be solved is really a key to success. So I'm really happy to hear you say that. Now, when we met at GTT, you had already done your undergrad. I think you were in the middle of your MBA program at Auburn at that point, and now you're pursuing a PhD at Auburn, which you told us a little bit before the podcast would be wrapped up next spring, I believe. So what I'm curious about, you've had a lot of great experiences, both academically and from a work experience standpoint. But from an academic standpoint, what would you say has prepared you for the roles that you currently do, as well as the roles that you want to do in the future?
One thing that I've really been thinking about lately and that I've been telling my students is that in the world of academia, you aren't necessarily, well, I can pretty much guarantee you're never going to learn every single thing that you need to know for your future job. What the world of academia is doing is teaching you how to think and how to be prepared to be successful in the future. And so while I may not, and I know I won't know every single thing that I need to know to be successful in the future, I've been taught how to problem solve and how you mentioned how to critical think, how to network, how to communicate, and just how to be successful in different environments where you are outside your comfort zone. So that had led me also to being able to teaching me how to find opportunities. At the beginning of undergrad, you are more guided on being able to find maybe on-campus jobs. When you are in an undergrad, you are given more opportunities for internships. You're pointed towards where to look for internships. And so all of these people that I interacted with throughout my academic career have helped me to just learn how to seek out those opportunities and how to think and how to think on my own and be able to be who I want to be. And something that I've been thinking about more recently too is that think in the world in which we work today, a lot of people look to someone that they want to be like, and they want to be just like that person. But we don't need another person who's just like that person. We need someone to be their own individual. And so learning how to be that valuable employee so that you can't be replaced by AI or by another person is just so important.
Yeah, this we've talked about AI on other podcasts, and you've mentioned it a few times on this episode. I am curious, are students concerned about AI and the impact that that has on the job market over time?
Yeah, absolutely. I start out my marketing courses with them actually writing a paper about what they're concerned about in marketing with AI. And a lot of them are concerned about the creativity side of it, and the AI can generate an image in 5 seconds. Or the other day, I had AI create me a rap on a theory to be able to present. And so I definitely think that's a concern. But I just remind my students that, we had the internet come, we had the calculator, and we're all still here. And so I just tell my marketing students, I said, you will be successful if you learn how to adapt with this and you learn how to utilize these tools and then be even better.
Yeah, I could not agree more. You're highlighting a point that I've made to a lot of younger people that are getting started with their careers, and what I've said to them, beyond the point about critical thought, is that the job, the market, the economy, the role, these things will all evolve throughout their career, and the key is to evolve with it, or even to evolve ahead of it, and not be left behind, because it seems like the people that feel left behind are the ones that have not been willing to make the changes that are necessary to stay relevant, to stay sharp, and so forth. And so we talk a lot about, the need to continue to educate yourself and to be willing to learn and to have a curiosity that's there at all times, as being important. And yeah, you're highlighting exactly what I think is the case with AI, and that is that, don't be afraid of it. Figure out how to embrace it and use it and become more productive as a result of it. I want to
Absolutely.
switch gears a little bit here. I know that the graduate assistant role, is that current, or was that a past role?
I'm currently a grad assistant.
Okay, and so in that role, you're doing some assessment and strategic planning work, correct?
In my last graduate assistantship, yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that, and how you think that has enhanced your career readiness.
So, in my role in assessment and strategic planning, I got to work with people from anywhere from recreation and wellness to student conduct to student counseling and psychological services to senior leadership at Auburn. And so I was able to be in a position where I got to help collect data. I got to help with the university strategic planning process. And I was able to just be immersed in a world where I learned the rudimentary skills of qualitative data and qualitative research, which I've now learned is so important in marketing. And so I learned how to code and how to bring these themes that then we can say to our students, when we're doing these events, we're seeing that a large portion of you are interested in seeing more events on this. And here is the proof for why. And so now we can have more events. We can market towards our students on these things. And so that was a really valuable experience. And it also just taught me how to work with people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Prior to that experience, I had been very immersed in the business world. So most of my time was spent with marketers, with managers, with people in those contexts. And so coming into my role in assessment and strategic planning and student affairs, I got to work with people who came from all different colleges and are able to just work with different varieties of students every single day. And so that just opened my eyes to really the opportunities on a college campus for marketing. I talk about it all the time that higher education is a business. And so in order for an institution to be successful, we have to look at it that way. And so that is just something that I learned.
Katelyn, I wanted we're going to talk about your internship here in a second, but I want to just add a question in. about AI. Do you have any concern at all as an educator that students will become overly reliant on it? And how do you sort of talk to your students and get them to view it as a necessary tool that they need to master, but not necessarily rely upon?
Absolutely. That is a wonderful question. So, in my role at the Big EO Center, I'm actually helping with creating AI readiness courses for educators and students. And so, it will bring all students up to a level playing field with an understanding of AI. And this semester is the first time that on the university side that I really took an initiative at the beginning of the semester. And so really it's a research study for me this semester to see how my students utilize AI. There is definitely a concern with over reliance on AI. I can tell when my students have utilized AI to write their papers. I think that sometimes students think that we as educators don't know when they're doing that. And it's pretty obvious. And I know AI is going to get better. And so I know it will get more difficult. Thinking about when social media became really big, we just kind of ignored social media for a while. It wasn't until really 2016, 2017, 2018 that we even began studying social media marketing at a higher education level and started having courses on that. And so we kind of ignored it and didn't talk about how to ethically use social media. And now we have a lot of issues with social media. And so what I talk about with my students is now is the time to learn about how to utilize AI and how to do it ethically and how to make you better for it. Because if you only utilize AI to have it write your papers, well, anyone can do that. And so when you're going on to the job market in 2 or 3 years, how are you going to stand out if what you're doing, everyone else can do? And so I just encourage them to figure out what their strengths are and then really go above and beyond.
Want to delve into your internship experience because as you talked about, you it was emphasized to you, and you, to your credit, went out and made the most of it, including being a technical marketing intern with Mike and I at Global Traffic Technologies. And like we said, you rocked that internship. Can you share some insights from that experience and how it helped you in your career?
Yeah. Well, going into that internship, I had only had a little bit of technical marketing experience. And so actually, it's funny because I tell my students this story all the time because I remember in my interview for that position, one of the questions I always ask is there any reason that you think that I may not be qualified or fit for this position? And I remember asking that at the end, and I remember Mike saying, going into my internship at Global Traffic Technologies, I actually didn't have a lot of technical marketing experience. I had some, but not a lot. And so I actually remember from my time in the interview, and I tell my students this story every year, that at the end of the internship or at the end of the interview, one of the questions I always ask is there any reasons that you are concerned I may not be qualified for this position so that I can address them now? And I remember Mike saying, my only concern is that you don't have a lot of technical marketing experience. And so maybe if you could address that. And when he said that, I then remembered what one of my previous mentors in college had said was, you can learn anything. And so I was just explained how I, in the past, have been presented with different opportunities where I did not know all of the skills beforehand, but I was able to adapt. I learned how to do it, and I was successful. That is something that I would encourage everyone to do, is to don't be afraid to take a leap of faith, and don't be afraid to ask that key question at the end of the interview so that if you did forget an answer or forget something that you wanted to add, that gives you an opportunity to do so. And then the other key insight from my internship at Global Traffic Technologies was in the teaching me the importance of intentional communication, because my internship was remote. And so that was a difficult time to learn how to intentionally communicate with people that you didn't know from before and still be successful. And I remember that there were a lot of days that I was nervous because I didn't know how to communicate, or I didn't know the communication styles of the people I was communicating with. And so it just taught me to really get to know people as best you can.
It's funny that you bring up the interview and the question that I asked. I remember asking that question, and I remember feeling like the answer you gave was pretty compelling, which, it must have been, obviously, because we made the offer. So thanks for sharing that.
That's funny.
As a social media coordinator at East Alabama Power Sports, what were some key lessons you learned about digital marketing and consumer engagement?
Some key lessons I learned were, first, the 80-20 rule. So 80% of what you put out needs to be engaging to the consumers. Only 20% needs to be buy our product. I also learned about the importance of having people in every single image. Even if there was a great image of a four-wheeler or of a side-by-side, if it didn't have a person in it, engagement instantly dropped. And so I worked really hard to work on getting people into all of the images and having those images be compelling. Another thing I learned, which I still draw upon and tell all my marketing students, is the need for high quality images. You don't want any images that are blurry, especially when you have people in the images. You want to make sure that they are looking professional and that they would be okay with that image being out there on social media. I also learned about the importance of varying your language based on what platform you're posting on. And that, along with that, is posting at the right time of day, the length of the post, depending on which platform you're posting on, just to make sure that you're really engaging all of your consumers.
It's funny that you talk about the importance of having people in pictures, because I'm working for a place right now, and some of the people at our company, we've had to sort of convince them, because they're just like, well, just show the product. That's all people want to see. It's like, no, no, no. People want to see people using our product and engaging with it. That's what's going to drive. So that's a battle, I think, that marketing will probably have to wage till the end of time, just because I think some people are so product focused that they miss that key point. During your time as a special projects consultant, you worked on consumer insights using natural language processing, which is obviously a part of AI. How did this project influence your understanding of market research and strategy?
So this was my first opportunity to really do marketing research in an applicable field that wasn't just a case study in academia. And so I really learned about how important it is to really know your product market and your competitors. And in my past marketing research, I had always researched the company. I knew everything about the company. But my time as a special projects consultant taught me the importance of looking in depth at all of the competitors so you really could understand and predict what their next move was. And then another thing that I learned in that is understanding the importance of knowing the big picture, so that when you are presenting your results from your marketing research, that you're presenting them in a way that your client will not only understand, but in the ways that they're looking for it. Now, that doesn't mean that if your results are saying something that you need to change what your results say to satisfy the consumer. That's just saying that if your client wants you to present it from either a top-down approach or from the bottom-up approach, that's how you're presenting the information to them.
So, Katelyn, as we're talking about this, I'm wondering about your thoughts on segmentation and maybe personas. Can you talk a little bit about how you've used segmentation to market research and then be as targeted as possible with messaging?
Yeah. And so this is thinking more about, as we've been talking about AI and things like this is something that we're utilizing a lot. So for example, right now I'm in the process of running a thematic weekly social media campaign for my graduate assistantship. And so in order to do this, we had to figure out who our segment was, who was our target market. And For that, we then had to decide which platforms made the most sense to accurately reach our target market.
Yep.
And then that helped us to understand what kind of images we wanted to put out there, and something even as simple as what themes did we want every single week that would be engaging to all of our consumers. And so where I work, we're a faculty enhancement and learning center. And so our segmentation, our target market is faculty. But with that, we have a wide range of faculty. And so we needed to figure out what themes would be engaging to all faculty. And so who would be looking at our posts? And so then when we started to drill down more into who was looking at our posts, which colleges across campus even use social media to look at various marketing.
Yeah.
And so we thought about all of those things.
Okay, great. So switching gears a little bit here, what would you say drives you personally and professionally?
I think that I love learning. I love being involved in the new and upcoming things. As was mentioned a little bit earlier, I don't remember if Mike or Bill who said it, but when we're thinking about AI, you want to be on the forefront. And in fact, you want to evolve before these things are happening. And so all of my experiences have helped me to learn how to do that and helped me to learn how to take those risks. And internally, I just want to be able to make a difference. And that's one reason I really do love marketing and education, is that you have the opportunity to connect with people around you and to have personal conversations. And with marketing, you get to see the impact of your work, which is so much fun. You know, you're not just throwing a dart at a dartboard and hoping it hits. You get to see really the full impact of what you're doing. I just really want to make a difference in my career. I want to be able to, in 30, 40, 50 years, be like, I really enjoyed my career. I made a difference and I really connected with people. And so if I can say that in years to come, then that's how I'll know I was successful.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Well, coming from a guy that's been doing it for 30 plus years, I can tell you that it has been a fulfilling career. So I'm glad you're on that same path. As you look back at, both academic and for the roles that you've had on the work side, are there specific experiences or mentors that have had significant impact on your career thus far?
Definitely, definitely. My current mentor, so I mentioned some previous mentors earlier on in the episode, just talking about my different academic experiences. So right now in my position at the Big EO Center, I get to work with Dr. Asim Ali, and he is at the forefront of everything with AI and education, and he is ready to accept anything that is thrown at him. And so he has been instrumental in allowing me to do these marketing campaigns and to learn my way as I am getting closer and closer to graduation. So my experience in taking this leap of faith, because I did not originally think I was going to work in the Big EO Center, and an opportunity came up, and that was really instrumental in my career. Also, Dr. Vanessa Harrison in assessment and strategic planning. She helped me to just understand who I am as an individual and who I am as an employee. And she emphasized the importance of networking and just really putting yourself out there. And then finally, one other person that's been really instrumental for me is Dr. David Marshall. He's my chair for my dissertation, and he has helped me to navigate all of my big ideas into something that is attainable. And so I think all of these people are just summed up in the importance of networking. And I know I mentioned it before, but this is just something that's so important to me, and that I really try to tell my students almost every class is I tell them to just look around, because you never know who you're by that could be instrumental in your future success in your career.
So just out of curiosity, what is the topic of your dissertation?
Yeah, so it's AI in K-12 education. And so looking at if when looking at K-12 educators' participation in an AI career readiness course in their classroom. And so understanding if they feel more comfortable and more prepared following the completion of this course that's set to release next week or in 2 weeks, hopefully
Is it
soon.
Is it too early to talk about thematic conclusions or anything like that?
So on the side, I'm doing a qualitative phenomenological study with faculty and their comfort with AI, and we're actually just finishing up some of the coding. And it's fascinating because most of them are saying that if you had asked them even 6 months ago, so this is
Yeah.
before the summer, they would have said, I'm never using AI. I don't even want to talk about it. And they said, I have now realized that it's here to stay. And so it's time to get comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Caitlin,
That's
what is
great.
it like to pack so much into 24 hours in a day? It's incredible the amount of things that you're involved in.
You just don't sleep. And I have a very loving and supportive husband who makes me dinner and forces me to sleep.
You can get away with that for a period of years, Caitlin, but at some point the sleep becomes more important. So
Exactly.
be
May
prepared for that.
2025.
Right. So as you look forward, then what are your future career goals?
Future career goals include continuing to teach in marketing. I really just love all aspects of education. And so continuing to stay involved in the marketing industry so that I can continue to bring industry knowledge to my students. My future career goals also include continuing to study AI and whatever other emerging, innovative, disruptive technologies come into play. And so I want to keep doing that. I want to graduate. And so
Yeah.
hopefully that is coming soon. And then I just really want to continue to figure out, what makes me happy and how I can make a difference.
Well, I would suggest that your wisdom goes beyond your years at this point, Caitlin. So with that in mind, what advice would you give to students that are looking for, or even people that are early in career that are looking for a career in marketing or higher education?
Definitely. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and really take every single opportunity. And now, speaking from someone who has no free time, um, make sure to say yes when people ask you to be on a project. And make sure, even if you don't know what you're doing, just really take those opportunities because you never know where those opportunities are going to lead. And really, the only way to learn is to do it. And if at first you won't succeed and you won't do anything perfect on your first try, but then the next time when you're asked to do another new project, it's going to go just a little bit better. My other word of advice is to just work hard. Just, put your head down and get your work done. And don't be afraid to go above and beyond and make yourself valuable.
Yeah, it's great advice, and it's advice that very much parallels my own philosophy on that same set of topics.
Can you explain to two Minnesota guys Auburn football fan culture?
Oh my goodness. Well, Alabama, Auburn, we have 5 home games in a row this fall. Tailgaters come in on Wednesdays. If you want gas or food, you have to get it on a Tuesday. They will be here Wednesday to Sunday. Unless you're going to the game, there's no use in going anywhere. If you want internet, then you should probably be outside of the university. And it is also the most fun and crazy football game that you'll have ever been to in your entire life. And if you've never been to an SEC football game, I would highly recommend it because the community that comes together for a football team is amazing.
Well, that's a great answer. And you've given a lot of insight and fantastic answers to our questions here. For those who want to learn more about your work or get in touch with you, Caitlin, what's the best way for them to do so?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to connect with them on there.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for your time, Caitlin. It was great to see you and catch up. Thanks for sharing your insights today. And hopefully you'll have nothing but continued success down the road.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Let's Talk Growth. If you enjoyed it, feel free to rate and review the podcast. You can get new episodes and listen to old ones by visiting marketwiseadvising.com/podcasts. Let's Talk Growth is owned, produced, and published by MarketWise Advising, LLC.